Hello, my dear students. We are doing Unit 2, Bird's Eye View, looking more closely at animals. And we started with this chapter in the previous class. We completed activity 1 to 3. So let's revise that first and then continue with this chapter. Well, the name of the chapter is Looking More Closely at Animals. So all the activities are like that. The first activity was also such, where we are given this picture of a bird in its nest and we had to look more closely and find one extra thing that we learned from it. So that was your activity 1. And activity 2, it was about the puzzled fox. We have already shared all the answers, like how many animals, how many hidden faces we can find from this, and you had to write that list. And activity 3 was you had to describe that to your friend without looking. Like you are just speaking, you are giving the hints in English, like did you find the deer which is sitting on the ground near the tree on the left side or on the right? I mean, that way everything was there. So that was activity 1 to 3. This would have been real fun in class, like more than a class of English, it would be a game for you. But still, you are at home, so you had to do it by yourself. So now let's move ahead with activity 4. Again, we are given a picture, but here there are 4 snakes. We all can see that these are snakes, and the common colors are red, black, yellow, or orange, or the different stripes are there. But if we look more closely at these snakes, we can see like all these snakes have some different pattern. Now let's just look clearly at these snakes, at these pictures, and then move ahead with it. A careful description uses many details with different nouns and adjectives. A careful description can also help to make comparisons. Now here there are 4 pictures and we have to describe them. But how will we be easily able to describe that? With the help of proper nouns and adjectives. So here, look at the pictures of snakes. One of these snakes is very dangerous. The other 3 are harmless and can be helpful to humans. Sometimes people kill the helpful snakes because they cannot see the difference between them. Now, it will be really wrong if we cannot differentiate the snake and we kill the snakes which can be really helpful or which are actually harmless. So, how can we see like which is harmful and which is harmless? We know like that description is already done by scientists, but we should be able to describe, we should be able to know. So let's move ahead with this activity and what we have to do in this. Imagine that you see one of the snakes near your own house. You need to know if the snake is dangerous or helpful. Imagine you do not have a camera, but you have a phone and you have a friend who has a very good book about snakes. Imagine that you must call your friend on the phone and carefully describe the snake to find out if it is dangerous. Your friend cannot see the snake and you cannot see the book. So, quite a situation. It's totally based on your imagination. Suppose you saw one of the snake near your house and you need to know whether this snake is dangerous or helpful. Now you do not have a camera, so you cannot take the picture, and your phone also is not the smartphone with that camera or the net connectivity. So you know that your friend has a book about snakes and you need to know whether this particular snake near your house, whether it is harmful or harmless. So you call your friend and you describe the snake, like what is the color, how are the stripes, which colors are next to each other, how broad the band is. All these things you have to describe carefully to your friend, and then your friend will say like if the description matches the image of the snake which is harmless, you can act like that, and if it is harmful, you can act accordingly and be prepared. You must describe the colors of the snake, which colors touch each other, what order the colors are in, the color of the head and tail. You might use nouns such as stripes, dashes, dots, patches, rectangles, triangles, diamonds, squares, and adjectives such as fat, thin, bumpy, uneven, straight, crooked, dark, light, bright, dull, shiny. You might compare the size of the colored areas to each other as well. Now you guys know what are nouns and what are adjectives. So to describe the snake, you will need to use as many nouns or adjectives so that you can easily give the description and you can even compare it. Activity 5. Choose one snake. Write a careful description that you could tell your friend on the phone. The sentence is started for you. The snake in my garden, and then you will have to describe that snake. From the image 1, 2, 3 and 4, you have to choose any one snake and give the proper description of that snake. Now students, in your textbook, if you think the image is not that clear, you can see the picture clearly in this video. And based on that, any one, snake number 1, 2, 3 or 4, you have to describe that snake. As the hints are given earlier, the colors, the dashes, how broad the color is, what is the order of the color, the color of the head and the tail, all these things you will have to write here. So that's your homework for today, which you have to do in your textbook. Share your description with a classmate. Can your classmate guess which snake you described? If not, add a new detail to your description and try again. Now you are not doing this with your classmates, but you can try this with your sibling or even your parents. Like suppose you chose snake number 3. So you can write the description like this snake has rings of black, yellow and red, and the yellow rings are very thin, and the head and tail of the snake is black in color. So this way you can write for any snake that you like or that you want to choose. And writing the description, you have to ask your parents or your sibling to guess which snake's description you have written. Activity 6. The highly venomous snake shown in the snake pictures is a Texas coral snake. Texas coral snakes have rings of black, yellow, and red around their bodies. The yellow rings are very thin compared to the black and red rings. The red rings of Texas coral snakes typically have scattered black speckles in them. The last several inches of the tail of the Texas coral snake contains several rings of black and yellow without the red rings. The red and yellow bands touch, and the coral snake's head or nose is typically black. Texas coral snakes have small, fixed fangs in front of their mouths. Now this is the description of the Texas coral snake, which is highly venomous. Venomous means full of venom. Venom is that poison. So it is a highly poisonous, a deadly snake, and we should stay away from this. And the description is given. Now read the description carefully and you will be able to make out like which snake is being talked about. It has rings of black, yellow and red around their bodies. The yellow rings are very thin compared to black and red rings. So from this you can keep the picture in front of you and you can make out like which snake is being described here. The red rings of Texas coral snakes typically have scattered black speckles in them. Speckles means those spots or those marks are there. So, and the last several inches of the tail of the Texas coral snake contains several rings of black and yellow without the red rings. So in the end, the red color is not there. And the red and yellow bands touch. And the coral snake's head or nose is typically black. The head portion or that nose portion is typically black, and it has small fixed fangs. Fangs mean that large sharp tooth, mostly of venomous, like the teeth through which the poison is injected, that part, the teeth which are longer than the other teeth. So that those fangs are fixed in front of their mouths. Read the description above carefully and look at the pictures of snakes. Which snake do you think the paragraph describes? I think snake number blank is the dangerous Texas coral snake. You have to write the snake number 1, 2, 3 or 4 which you think is the dangerous Texas coral snake. Ask other classmates to find out what they think and write the results in the paragraph. Snake number 1, number of classmates who chose the snake. 2, number of classmates. 3, number of classmates. And 4, number of classmates. Again, this would have been a class activity, but you can do by yourself. You don't have to fill the paragraph, but you have to write which you think is the Texas coral snake. And in the end, blank classmates agree with me. So how many classmates agree with you and blank classmates disagree with me? That is not to be done by you. So that's it for today. In your homework, describe one of the snake from the 4 snakes and also try to choose one snake from the description given in activity 6. That's your homework for today, which you have to do in your textbook. There's nothing more to be done. It will hardly take few minutes. So that's it. Finish your homework and enjoy your weekend.